Lelouch and Schneizel are half-brothers from the series code Geass. Schneizel being one of the main rivals to Lelouch, and Lelouch attempting to conquer the world and bring peace. Lelouch and Schneizel defeated each other multiple times, but Lelouch came out on top in the end. Will the same happen here? Let's find out. First up is Spatial, and the first category is observations of materials. Lelouch seems to get his one as he makes better use of the environment, such as landslides and even using a volcano against his brother. Lelouch takes this with medium difficulty. Next is observations of space. This is close as Schneizel outmaneuvered Lelouch in their final battle, at first making better use of their space. But Lelouch has done a lot more, as shown by his awareness of materials. He also considered space to be used, like the fact he was trapped in a building and ended up having that building collapse on his enemy in order to create an escape. Lelouch has many more showings, so this edges out to Lelouch with hard difficulty. Last is puzzle solving. This goes to Lelouch as he makes the best using of placing the pieces together to form something that can give him an advantage, as such with some of his usage of his Geass. Lelouch takes this with medium difficulty. Lelouch won all the categories, so he gets the overall points, giving him a total of 27 points, and Schneizel with a 0. Next is Interpersonal, and the first category is understanding your own intentions. This seems to edge out to Schneizel as he isn't in his emotions like Lelouch's. He's fully aware of what he intends to do and doesn't waver in his decisions. Schneizel takes this with medium difficulty. Next is understanding what you will do. This is a really close one, but Schneizel barely edges it out for similar reasons to the previous category. Schneizel is very focused on what he intends to do and is able to set the path and actually do all of it, where Lelouch might intend one thing then do another. Schneizel takes this with hard difficulty. Next is understanding your limitations. Very close again, but Schneizel seems to take this one as well, as he takes into consideration limitations when it comes to his actions, while Lelouch might overlook some things, for instance with Cornelia in the beginning of the series when she cornered him. Schneizel takes this with hard difficulty. Next is understanding your knowledge. This is fairly close, but this time it leans in Lelouch's favor, as he always took full advantage of whatever he could use to get one up over his opponents, where his brother would take more practical ways of doing things even when there was more information to be learned before doing so. Lelouch takes this with hard difficulty. Next is adaptability. Lelouch takes this one as he had to learn and overcome several different types of Geass and take on the world full of varying different opponents. Lelouch takes this with medium difficulty. Last is emotional control. Schneizel takes this easily as he never wavered in his decisions, while Lelouch often contemplates himself and the actions he's committing, even getting depressed at one point. Schneizel takes this with easy difficulty. Schneizel won more points, so he takes the overall points, giving him a total of 21 points, and Lelouch with 7 points. Next is Linguistics, and this is very hard to decide. In a general basis, Schneizel covers these better as he is more consistent with persuading someone using proper language to convince people of something. While Lelouch was able to predict an entire conversation with Schneizel and a mind reader, but is also lost at words as to convince certain people and instead resorting Geass. Basically, Schneizel is more consistent while Lelouch has the more impressive showings. This perspective is of my own, but I go with consistency over impressive showings, so Schneizel gets all these categories with hard difficulty, giving a total of 19 points, and Lelouch with a 0. Next is bodily kinesthetics, and this one is somewhat hard to figure out as well. On one hand, Lelouch is extremely unfit, while on the other hand Schneizel never shows this kind of intelligence. There are some moments that give Lelouch an edge, such as him playing piano, which requires a good mind and body connection. This by default gives Lelouch the edge, so he takes all these categories with hard difficulty. This gives Lelouch the overall points, giving him 15 points, and Schneizel with a 0. Next is Interpersonal, and the first category is understanding others' intentions. Lelouch takes this one as he has better showings, such as predicting his brother's actions and conversation, as well as constantly outmaneuvering his opponents, predicting when and where they will strike. Lelouch takes this with medium difficulty. Next is understanding what others will do. Similarly, Lelouch takes this as he knew what things Schneizel would do in response to his own commands, as well as predicting multiple other opponents' actions during battle. Lelouch takes this with hard difficulty. Next is understanding other people's limitations. Lelouch takes this as he used Schneizel's limitations against him, taking advantage of his circumstance to sneak up on him when Schneizel was expecting something else. Lelouch takes this with hard difficulty. Last is understanding other people's knowledge. Both are really good at this, but Lelouch seems to edge it out simply for having more showings. Both characters used the knowledge well against their opponents, but Lelouch used it slightly better, even trapping his own brother because of it. Lelouch takes this with medium difficulty. Lelouch won all the categories, giving him the overall points, which gained him 30 points and Schneizel 0. Next is Existential, and the first category is determining what to believe in. This is close, but Schneizel takes this one as he never wavers in what he believes in, but Lelouch contradicts himself occasionally. Schneizel takes this with hard difficulty. Last is consistencies in one's beliefs. Lelouch takes this one as he believed in the future while Schneizel believes in the present. Lelouch is willing to have change for the better or worse, but better to find out than accept things for what they are, even when they're horrible, compared to Schneizel, who wouldn't risk change for the safety and comfort of the predictable now. Lelouch takes this with medium difficulty. Lelouch won more points, so he gets the overall points, giving him 8 points, and Schneizel with 3 points. Next section is logical, and the first category is gathering of information. This is close, but Schneizel seems to take this one as his gathering of information is more consistent and leads to more consistent information regarding his intentions. Schneizel takes this with hard difficulty. Next is deductions of information. This is also really close, but it favors Lelouch, as Lelouch is able to deduce more at hand from what information he is given. Lelouch takes this with hard difficulty. Last is how the information is used. Lelouch takes this one as he uses the available information he has to a much better degree, incorporating many different elements in his plans, if it be the terrain, a nightmare, the pilot, the weapons available. Lelouch takes this with medium difficulty. Lelouch won more points, so he gets the overall points, giving him a total of 28 points, and Schneizel with 4 points. Next is musical, and Lelouch takes all these categories as he is almost always part of the battle, using sound to be aware of his surroundings, compared to Schneizel, who is always set outside of the battle and never really interacts with anything through the intellectual use of sound. Lelouch takes all these points with easy difficulty, giving him the overall points, which means he has 23 points, and Schneizel with a 0. The last section is Naturalist, and the first category is understanding of elements. Lelouch gets this one as he often uses the environment as part of his preparation for a battle, making sure he has the high ground. Lelouch takes this with medium difficulty. Next is understanding how elements work together. Lelouch takes this as well as he uses his preparations and understand the battleground to take advantage of his superior position and create landslides to stop his enemies' advancements. Lelouch takes this with medium difficulty. Last is animal nature. This is fairly close, but leans towards Schneizel as he used Zero's emotions against him on several occasions, such as when he made an illegal chess move which Zero declined, knowing how Zero would feel about it. Schneizel pushes this on Lelouch a lot, which forces his hand. Schneizel takes this with hard difficulty. Lelouch won more points, so he gets the overall points, giving him 21 points, and Schneizel with 4 points. After the dust settles, we found Lelouch to have 159 points in total, while Schneizel gained only 51 points. Lelouch and Schneizel were always really close, but Lelouch was always found to be better in most cases. On top of that, Schneizel didn't have many showings in certain categories, which gave them easily to Lelouch. Lelouch won, so he gets to move on to the next round. Did you enjoy this video, and do you think the results were accurate? Let me know what you think in the comments.